Hi, everyone. I'm Mariah Tyler Moore. I am so excited to be here today, partnering with the wonderful team at Boulder Bookstore for this author Q&A about my contemporary romance, Spaces Between Us. I do love this book so much. So at its heart, The Spaces Between Us is basically the story of a woman named Zara. Her life implodes after a devastating medical diagnosis shatters her identity and her marriage. She actually finds herself completely adrift. Her body, the one thing that she thought she could rely on, has betrayed her. And so her husband, who promised to love her in sickness and in health, actually decides her illness is an inconvenience that he didn't sign up for. But this book is not a story about being sick. It's a story about what happens when the systems that you trust, like your body, your marriage, your career, when they completely fail you and you're forced to build a new life from the wreckage. It's about how, in the midst of that chaos, Zara finds an unexpected partnership with Adrian, who is the man that understands brokenness because he's lived it himself. Together, Adrian and Zara discover that shared trauma is not a weakness, but the very foundation upon which they can build something that not only heals them, but begins to heal the entire world around them. Although I will tell you that this story is in many ways my own. As a neurodivergent and multiply disabled person and author, I've spent much of my life navigating systems and spaces that were not built for me. So I really know what it feels like to be told that your pain isn't real, to have your body betray you in baffling and terrifying ways, and to have to fight for basic understanding and accommodation. Zara's journey in this book begins in a place that I know intimately, a doctor's office, where she gets that life-changing diagnosis that rewrites her entire future. I wanted to write a story that captured the raw, messy, and often unglamorous reality of that experience. But more than that, I wanted to write a story that went beyond the diagnosis, beyond the pain. I was inspired to explore what comes after the fall, the resilience, the reinvention, and the unexpected joy that you can find when you stop trying to be the person that you were and start embracing the person that you're becoming, or the person that you've even become right now. So I feel confident saying this about the one question that I get asked a lot, and that's whether this started as a love story or a story about systemic change. And that reason that I feel confident about this question is because it gets to the core of what the book is about. It's about both. Because I believe that for people living in the margins, love is an act of systemic change. Confident in saying that. Love is an act of systemic change. And in the novel, Zara's marriage to David falls apart precisely because it operates within a broken system. It's a relationship that demands that she perform a certain version of health and normalcy. And when her disabled body can no longer meet those expectations, the relationship dissolves. It has no framework for genuine, compassionate support. And David sees her illness as a personal failure, like she can't uphold the end of a bargain that he thought he was making. And her eventual partnership with Adrian is the opposite of that relationship. Adrian is a recovering addict who runs a dual diagnosis program, and his entire life is built around understanding that people are more than their broken parts. Their love story works because it is founded on mutual acceptance and a shared understanding of what it means to survive. They don't fall in love despite their traumas. They fall in love because their traumas have given them the capacity for a deeper, more authentic kind of empathy. So the love story isn't just a romance. It's the model for the systemic change that they go on to create with their foundation called Project Heart. And it's a story that argues that the most radical thing that any of us can do is build a life with people whose broken pieces fit with ours. And we can create something whole and new and beautiful. Sorry, this book kind of makes me emotional. I love this book because it's written from my heart and I relate so deeply to Zara. Her laundry list of diagnoses that she mentions in the opening chapters, like the endometriosis, the fibromyalgia, PTSD, And of course, the POTS that changes everything, that's my laundry list. I have sat in those beige, depressing doctor's offices, and I've had my symptoms dismissed as just anxiety. So I know that specific exhaustion that comes from having to constantly advocate for your own reality. There's actually a moment early in the book when Zara is researching her new POTS diagnosis online, and she reads that the quality of life for severe POTS patients is actually comparable to people with congestive heart failure or people on dialysis. And I remember the night that I read that same exact research paper. And I remember the cold, sinking feeling of dread when I realized that this wasn't something I could just push through. It was like a fundamental rewriting of my life's operating system. And writing Zara was a way for me to process that entire experience, but also to write the story I needed to read back then, a story that acknowledges the grief and the loss, but does not end there. So it changes. A lot of people who read this, they notice that it changes in the middle because this story isn't about where being broken is a disqualifier for a meaningful and deeply loving life. So what do I hope readers walk away with? I hope they walk away with a new understanding of what resilience truly means. I call this philosophy radical resilience. Our culture loves the idea of bouncing back from trauma, of returning to the person that you were before. But for many of us, that's not possible or, not even desirable. So radical resilience is about embracing your scars. It's about integrating your scars, not erasing them. It's about understanding that your trauma, your limitations, your disabilities, they are not things you have to overcome to be worthy of love and a full life. Those things are part of the story that makes us who we are. And in the book, Zara and Adrian don't get over their pasts. They learn to use their experiences of being broken by these systems to build something better and more compassionate for others. And they do that through their foundation project, Heart. So I hope readers walk away feeling that their own survival is not just an end point for them, but really is a source of incredible strength and wisdom. I hope that they feel empowered to find their own found family, which are the people who love them for who they are, not who they think they're supposed to be. And most of all, I hope that they feel seen. I hope that they feel seen reading this book the way I felt seen writing it. And there's something else I want to share. While The Spaces Between Us is a complete standalone story, it's also part of what I call the More universe. I actually have written and published 7 novels, and in November 2025, I'll be publishing my 8th novel. And a lot of these things that I write about are characters that exist with interconnected philosophies and traits. So things that I talk about in one novel are reiterated in my other novels, and it's my way of building a richer, deeper world for my readers. So you can absolutely read and enjoy any of my books on their own, but for those who like to dig deeper, there are Easter eggs about radical resilience and connections woven throughout my entire catalog. It's a lot of fun, and it rewards the readers who stick with me across different genres. I do want to talk about a content warning, so I'm going to be clear that before I read from this book, this novel deals with trauma, with mental health, with suicide and disability. I never shy away from the darkness because I think that sanitizing those experiences does a disservice to people living them. The book is ultimately hopeful, though. It's about survival and transformation, not about sorrow or pain. The passage that I'm going to read from is actually chapter 6. It's called Heat That Heals. It's my favorite chapter. And this is a pivotal moment where Adrian, our recovering addict protagonist, he receives devastating news about a death in his family, and he's on the verge of relapsing. So Zara's intervention for him, it's unconventional, but it's empathetic and deeply human. It showcases the core of their relationship, which is support without judgment. And it highlights what I love about this book. That's the blend of humor and heart, even in the darkest moments of life. All right, let's read this. My breathing is too fast, too shallow, that knife's edge of panic where your body can't figure out if it's dying or just wishes it was. The addiction voices, always there but usually manageable, scream in chorus. This is fixable. You know how to fix this. 10 minutes to score, 20 to cook, 1 to feel nothing. There's got to be someone dealing near here, I hear myself say, the junky autopilot engaging without permission. Part of me, the part that sat through 1,000 meetings, knows this is the addiction talking, but knowing and stopping are different countries, and I can't find my passport. There always is. Corner boys, someone in a parking lot, the kitchen staff, someone's always holding. I just need. Yeah, there probably is. Her voice is matter of fact as she starts the car. No judgment, just acknowledgement. My mom could always find someone within 10 minutes, no matter where we were. Heroin, meth, whatever she needed. Phoenix, Albuquerque, some truck stop in the middle of nowhere. Didn't matter. It's like addicts have a radar for it. The casual mention of her mom doing drugs stops my spiral momentarily. Your mom? She was a hardcore addict until I was 19. She started with pills for a back injury, ended with whatever she could find. She pulls out of the lot, turning left. So I know exactly how easy it would be to get you what you're looking for, which is why I am not taking you there. I don't need a lecture about good, because I'm not giving you one. I'm taking you on an adventure instead. She glances at me, a small smile playing at her lips that seems impossible given the circumstances. You're going to tell me about that tamale recipe that won a contest, and I'm going to find us the hottest salsa in Las Vegas. What? You heard me. You said on the phone that your abuela just won a contest with her green chili recipe. She clearly knew her way around spice, so we're going to honor that. Plus, you can't have a meltdown when your mouth is on fire. It's basic physiology. Can't cry if you're too busy trying not to die from heat. Despite everything, I laugh. Short and bitter, but still a laugh. That's your solution? Burn my mouth to distract me? My mom used to always say that the only thing stronger than the need to use was Chuck Norris. She shrugs, checking her blind spot with care. Of course, she was usually high when she said it, so the wisdom is questionable. But the principle stands. Sometimes you need a bigger sensation to crowd out the one that's killing you. They pull into the Mexican grocery store, and I'm just going to skip over this part. You guys can read it, but I want to jump into the next part. Okay, expert opinion needed, she says, already examining labels with intensity. Crying devil or Satan's revenge. Those are amateur hour. You want the ones without English on the label. I scan the shelves, muscle memory from a lifetime of being Mexican in America kicking in. Here, this one just has a skull and crossbones. And this one, I pick up a jar with a label featuring what appears to be a jalapeno wielding a knife. This is what we call poor life choices in a jar. Perfect. What else? All right. Back in the car, we spread our haul on the dashboard like the world's most dangerous picnic. The afternoon sun slants through the windshield, turning everything golden and slightly surreal. Ready? Zara asks, wielding a chip loaded with the skull and crossbones salsa. My abuela says suffering should be strategic, I tell her, matching her chip for chip. Small amounts, steady pace, and always have milk nearby. Shit, we forgot milk. Then we die like warriors. That scene, that moment where Zara meets Adrian exactly where he is and doesn't try to fix him, she redirects his pain into something that they can survive together. And that's the heart of this book. That's what radical resilience looks like in practice. Thank you so much to Boulder Bookstore for hosting me and for asking such thoughtful questions about my book. I'm thrilled to be here. You can find The Spaces Between Us and all of my other novels through my website. I am so appreciative of the people who are watching, of your commitment to creating an inclusive literary community. And I truly hope to visit people in person soon for signings. Remember, your brokenness is not a disqualification. It's a credential. Thank you for watching. Please check me out on my website at www.mariahtylermoore.com. Thank you.